Hi, today we're in the great town of Glen Rio, Texas, and New Mexico on Route 66. Out here is Interstate 40 coming from Adrian, Texas. Take the off-ramp for Glen Rio. Head up here in this gravelly road to our abandoned Chevron station. Built in 1980, now it's a disaster. Holy smokes, I got a whole video on this place. Walk through. Down here, that's a old Texaco. That's abandoned too. And this way here, about a mile, is the new Glen Rio Visitor Center on I-40. You should check it out, but if you go down there, you got to turn around to this main road right here. Hey, here's our abandoned Texaco. We're going to head into Glen Rio on Route 66. So this whole place was first inhabited over 10,000 years ago by the Native Americans, and in 1540s the Spanish conquistadores explored this region out here looking for the mythical city of gold, El Dorado. Comanche and the Kiowa Indians lived here in peace up to the 1800s, and after the U.S.-Mexican War, 1846, Texas was incorporated and we kind of kicked out the Indians. And that's a sad story, but in 1901 the Chicago Rock Island Gulf Railway came through, and they first called this place Rock Island. The railroad station was built on the Texas side called Glen Rio. We're going to head up left here on Route 66. I'll show you what it looked like in the old days. So in Spanish, Glen Rio means narrow river valley. That's what we have here. Then the post office came through on the New Mexico side of town. This is Route 66. Right here, we're going to head this way. It dead ends at Interstate 40. Hey, we're approaching the end here. It's been about a mile. This is the end of Route 66. It heads on to Adrian. I believe it passes up over I-40 on that side. It heads out to Adrian, Texas. So we're going to turn around. I'll tell you about this little road we're on. This is our Route 66, 1926 to 1976. It's the main road through Texas along the Panhandle. This is originally a dirt road on the Ozark Trail. It was called Route 13. Then it became Texas State Highway Loop 504. And then when you get to New Mexico, it's called Road 1578. So in 1926, of course, this became Route 66. And up ahead, the whole district of Route 66 is on the National Register of Historic Places. So by 1940, Glen Rio was a home to 30 people. 1950s, Route 66 was widened to a 4-lane highway. And eventually Interstate 40 over here came by in 1973, bypassed the town. And then the travelers declined and businesses moved out. The school closed in the 1940s, the railway depot closed in 1955. And finally the post office closed in 1980. So by 2000, there's only 5 people living here in Glen Rio. Today the population is 0. We'll stop here at this really bitchin' abandoned place. Everybody's got to take a look at it. Well, this here is our 4-lane Route 66, Glen Rio, Texas right now. I'm going to show you our beautiful Texaco gas station, built in 1950 by Joe Brownlee. He also owned this diner right here. We'll take a look at too. Anyways, classic, streamlined, modern design. Got the accents above the bay doors and the offices. This guy here. And we got this beautiful vertical panels on top there of the canopy and the beautiful rounded edges. Anyway, there's 2 other gas stations out here in New Mexico. On the New Mexico side is the 1925's Brownlee's Mobile and the 1946 Ferguson gas station. This cool car here. This is a white, rusting 1968 2-door hardtop Pontiac Catalina. It's owned by a local boy named Larry Travis, and that was the husband of Roxanne Brownlee, who was the daughter of Joseph Brownlee that owned this establishment. But he worked at a gas station down in Adrian, Texas, about 23 miles away. And in 1976, he was murdered during a robbery. He was forced to kneel down, shot in the back of the head. They caught the robber, and Roxanne moved this beautiful car up here. And this hasn't moved since 1976. Anyway, it's beautiful. Gas station, old Texaco. They don't like people to trespass too much, so I'll stand back here. This guy here is called the Little Juarez Diner. So Joseph Brownlee, he owned this diner too, opened in 1952. Called the Little Juarez Diner, but officially it's called the Brownlee Diner. It's a box-shaped, curved building. See, beautiful little curving eave or frontage there. Absolutely gorgeous. A rounded metal canopy, horizontal lines, curved tops on the walls, accents, that crest in the middle of the building. And this diner here is the inspiration of the Racing Museum from Disney Pixar's Cars, 2006. Has the same colors, curved lines, extruding crests. That's pretty neat. Little diner out here in Glen Rio. Back here, this house back here. Yeah, that was the Brownlee's home. And it was physically moved here from Amarillo and refurbished in the 1950s. This is where the daughter Roxanne lived when she married Larry Travis, who was murdered down in Adrian. She became the last living resident of Glen Rio, and she passed away a couple years ago. So this is a true ghost town. Nobody lives here. Holy smokes. We're gonna head down this way, check out some more ruins. Now here, this vacant lot next to the diner, this is the site of the Lewis Gas Mart. It's a pair of simple shake roof buildings, 3 pairs of gas pumps up front, no canopy. Used to say Lewis Gas Mart on top. And up ahead about 200 yards, it's the State Line Cafe. Here we have the State Line Cafe, gas station, motel. This building here is really kind of 2 buildings. Built by Homer Irishman in 1953. So concrete blocks. Used to have a gable shingle roof. And on the right was a flat roof building here. And that was the cafe diner. On top of the diner used to have a sign that said Texas Longhorn Motel. And later on it had a giant Texas Longhorn steer on top. And the gas station is on the left. A bay garage you can see up there. That's our bay garage with all the graffiti on it. Right there. Looks like a red Harlequin diamond logo there. That's typical of our 1950s Phillips service station. This guy. Beautiful gas station here and little cafe on the right. It's all cleaned up. It's abandoned, but it's been cleaned up for all the looky-loos to come in and take a look. Anyway, that's pretty neat. The sign here on the post, Motel, last stop in Texas on one side. All right. And on the other side is the first stop in Texas. It's got this giant steel pylon poles here. Isn't that neat? Look on the other side. This is the last hotel and first hotel, or motel, you find from Texas and New Mexico. So in the back here, this guy's a Longhorn Motel. You know, he's behind the cafe. He's built in 1955, he closed in 1976. It's got this big U-shape, 13 units, connecting buildings. This is called our Last Chance Motel. So Tucumcari is about 41 miles west and Amarillo is 73 miles east. So it's a pretty long distance to drive for those cars back in the old days, so they'd stop here for kind of the last chance. Anyway, this here is the last physical building you'll find in Texas, because right on the other side is the state line to New Mexico. Wow. That's a graffiti, but it looks really, really good. All these motel units here, all in a row. Outside parking, so no carports like you find on a lot of the other motels. Auto ports. You stay here. Oh wow. Just beautiful. In the vacant lot here next to our motel, this is the boundary marker for New Mexico on my left and Texas on the right. So a long time ago, Glen Rio was really all part of New Mexico, and then Texas came and resurveyed the land, discovered half of it belonged to them, so they split this town in half. When you take a look at Route 66, it looks a little different on either side of the state line. Good time to look at this guy here. So this is 1926. Originally it was a 2-lane road. Now to the east here, that way, that's called Death County, Texas. And that was a dry state, so if you wanted to get alcohol, you had to go on the New Mexico side. But on the New Mexico side out here, they charge a lot of taxes for gas. So if you wanted gasoline, you go to the Texas side. That's pretty neat. You'll notice too that New Mexico has this divider between the roads when they expanded it to 4 lanes. In Texas, they don't. Wow, that's pretty neat. And what else we have out here? Well, in 1965, there was like 3,500 cars across the state line, which is quite a lot. And after Interstate 40 opened right over there, there's no reason to come by, so they stopped coming. And across the street, right here, this used to be the Glen Rio Information Center. It's all abandoned. Had to be torn down when they expanded the road. Anyway, it dates back to 1930. Small, kind of white adobe building, tall flagpole waving the Lone Star flag of Texas. And the banner was also flung right over the highway. You'll pull up a little parking area, cool off from the hot weather outside, use the restrooms, pick up some brochures and maps. That was right here, the first information center into Texas. And right out here too, there's a place called the Cooper Hotel. It's a 2-story wooden structure. Upper level had a little elevated outdoor deck for entertaining. The bottom level had a covered patio. That burned down in 1935. So you're not going to find our beautiful Cooper Motel out here. Across the street, a new smoke shop here just opened up. The Glen Rio Smoke Shop. On this vacant lot, we used to have some really great structures. Out here is the side of a windmill and a water tank built in 1945. Probably an air motor model 702 windmill with its typical flat-edged wind vane. We got 3 buildings that used to be here, and they're all torn down. I'll tell you about them. This open lot here, just to the left of our New Mexico marker, first building you find in New Mexico, called the State Line Motel. Built in 1930, owned by John Wesley Ferguson. He also owned the State Line Bar and Boyle's Mobile Station. Next door is Adobe style 8-unit motel, full garages, concrete foundations, a stucco. The front faces Route 66, so you drive up to the garage. But in the motel, each room had a window facing out to the north. And here, the State Line Bar, built in 1935 by John Ferguson. He sold it to Homer Arisman in 1939, later sold it to Joseph Brownlee, who's the owner of the Motel Cafe down here. We already looked at. Anyway, I used to host a Texaco station, had a full canopy over the front pumps, and advertised for wine, whiskey, and beer. Remodeled in 1960. The whole front section was removed. Concrete blocks were added to the top to face Route 66. And also had a small post office attached on the west side of the building. And this is our smoke shop here. It's new. They had to tear down all these buildings here, make our smoke shop. People complain, but they made it very Route 66-y, art moderne, streamlined corners, but it used to be the home of Royal's Mobile gas station. Built in 1925 by John Ferguson, later sold to John Boyles, who ran it as a mobile station. Had a shingled hip roof, extended forward, and the canopy above the pump islands. Also had 2 outhouses behind the gas station, and one dating back to 1925. That's our Glen Rio smoke shop today. But over here on the left, I believe this was the site of the T&N Cafe. 1-story elongated brick building facing Route 66 right here on this vacant lot. Here we have the abandoned wall of our T&N Cafe. Right here, it seems all just crunched up and abandoned. There's a propane tank out here, and way across Interstate 40 out there, that's the new Glen Rio Visitor Center, so it's kind of hard to get to out there. We're going to head over here to Ferguson's, this building here. This area right here, you see the ruins kind of jutting out of the dirt there. This was Ferguson's mobile gas station. It's a stark box-shaped building, concrete blocks, frame, adobe structure, and it housed the post office right here. Now the postman, in New Mexico time, he'd be here at the post office. The postmaster would have to walk all the way down the old road here to the train depot and bring it back. And later on, when they split the town into 2, the post office was in Glen Rio and the mail drop was out in Texas. That's pretty amazing. Back here, way back there, behind the post office, called the Angel House. We'll take a look at that ruin. Hey, on the way, let's take a look at our post office. See what's left. Nice little 2 windows and a front door, and see it says Glen Rio right there. And inside is looks kind of dangerous. I don't want any of that stuff falling on my head. Oh, look at that. It's either a cricket or a locust or a grasshopper. He's a big guy. I'm not sure who he is. Anyway, back here, behind the post office, this is the oldest building, Glen Rio, built in 1910. It's called the Angel House. Anyway, so Ferguson, guy who owned all these buildings out here, he used this in the 1930s, 1940s to staff all the workers who worked in the businesses in town. Here's part of the Angel House here, and over here are these ruins all falling down. Oh, the old abandoned car here. That's pretty neat. Let's see what this little Angel House looks like today. Oh my goodness, this little gabled wood shake roof, 2 doors, or 1 door, 2 windows. Yeah, it's all adobe looking. You know, it's all kind of falling apart. Kind of looks like the gas station, the Ferguson gas station out here. Right. And here we have the part of our Angel House. Let's see what's left. Hey, we'll walk around the Angel House here, and I'll show you all the debris piled up. You know, it looks like it's not bad construction. Been here for over 100 years. Anyway, that's our little stove here. Anyway, here's the end. You see all these little remnants scattered all around the place here. All right, here's a sort of a hard surface. There's a little piece of metal right here. More debris scattered around. Here we have looks like a water pump, I'm going to guess, and perhaps there's a windmill here too to help pump out the water. More debris, of course. And we got some little cholla cactus here. Looks like a diamond cholla. And more debris. We even have looks like maybe a sign right here. Might have been with an arrow on the end. That's what quite so sure. So I dig all that up, and more debris here and here and here and here. So we're gonna head down Route 66, the original road, all the way to Tucumcari, that way. Now we're back on our 4-lane Route 66, sort of a gravelly concrete road. You notice a median right in the center, that means you're in New Mexico, but it's gonna end up here a little ways. And then Route 66 actually veers to the right as well. We'll take a look at just ahead. Now coming from Glen Rio down here, headed westbound, you hit this little fork in the road. What's going on? The 1926 Route 66 heads out this way on this gravelly dirt road. 1952 alignment turns to the right here. Our Route 66 is on the left. That dirt road through this gate, this is the 1952 alignment. If you head up a ways, you're gonna come across a bridge. And Roman Rich has a really good video out there from a couple years ago. You take a look at one of his videos, but the gate here, sometimes people open it up and drive through, but I'm not gonna do that today. So 1952 alignment went straight ahead and crossed over I-40. So they closed this road, and the bridge right up here is over Arroyo Trujillo, San Juan Creek. It's about 500 feet long, 12-span steel stringer bridge, and that was abandoned in 1973 when Interstate 40 opened down here. It's a great road though, and a lot of people do drive it, but we're not going to do that today. It's got a little simple latch here. Make sure you close it if you ever use it. We're going to head down the 1926 road to the town of ND. See some cool ruins. And that's our little town of Glen Rio, New Mexico and Texas, out here on Route 66. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.